Hello again, under Agakala Reacts, and today we'll be watching Holdouts, when building owners refuse to sell. And it's from Cheddar, and Cheddar explains. So let's just jump into it, and just watch and see what happens then.
Disney Pixar's Up is known for a lot of things. The intro sequence, the annoying dog, but one thing that's often forgotten is Carl's steadfast insistence to be a holdout. And Carl was real. Well, at least his story was. Similar to Edith Mayfield's last stand against developers in Seattle, holdouts are seen as an inspirational act of defiance and preservation. But in New York City, where construction and change is endless, it's a developer's worst nightmare. They buy a building and they want to tear it down, but a rent-controlled tenant who's well within their right won't leave their apartment, and they refuse any and all buyout offers.
And typically a holdout tenant has a case when they are in a rent stabilized or rent controlled apartment. There are certain protections under those rules that would allow them to continue their tenancy in some cases, and much to the chagrin of the developer, because they can't force them out. And so you get these standoffs where the holdout doesn't want to go, and there isn't much that the developer can do to force them to go.
Be it stubbornness, sentimentality, or just downright greed, New York holdouts have been motivated by all kinds of reasons in the last century.
I really feel that it's mostly about just not wanting to lose a place where you've lived and made your life. It's kind of like you're
It's a
shouting
nice
to
building
the world,
too.
you know, I'm here
Some
and
of
I'm
them.
staying.
The lengths to which developers will coerce landlords and tenants to leave is staggering. They have and will offer hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars for them to give up their home.
I think New York is kind of a prime city for these sort of holdout situations to happen, because it has relatively strong rental protections for tenants.
The history of holdouts can be, well, daunting to research. Andrew Alpern's fascinating book, Holdouts, highlights about 50 cases over the last 100 years. It opened the door to an entire world of decades-long feuds and back-alley deals. 3 stories in particular really caught my eye, and all 3 of them are kind of special in their own right. The most notorious and noticeable, the one that prompted the largest buyout ever recorded in the city's history, and the one that resulted in the smallest piece of private property in the 5 boroughs. We'll start with New York's most notorious, Macy's flagship store in Manhattan's Herald Square. On first glance, it doesn't quite look complete, and there's a reason for that. This spot has been called the most contentious corner in New York by the New York Post. The $1 Million Corner story began back in 1900 with a battle between 2 major department stores, Macy's and the Siegel Cooper Company. Macy's, whose flagship store was on 14th Street at the time, wanted to move up to 34th Street and purchase the entire block to create the world's largest store. It's said that Siegel Cooper, whose 18th Street store was already touted as the world's largest, caught wind of this and, determined to thwart Macy's plans, convinced a local store owner to purchase the corner store for $375,000. Fast forward about 100 years, and the end result is Macy's kind of awkward shopping bag.
But is that so? I just want to know if that Macy's, is that store still the biggest? It's 100 years ago. I would believe it, but I'm gonna have to look into it. Let me find a pen or something like that. Macy's largest store. I really have to start making notes and just like looking up to the end. So Macy's world's largest store. Okay, let's go.
It's the only piece on the entire block that's not owned by Macy's. 100 years and 27 blocks further uptown, another holdout story unfolded, involving $17 million and a tenant named Herb. It was 2004, and developers Will and Arthur Zeckenford had just purchased the Mayflower Hotel and intended to tear it down. All of the tenants had left but Herb. Refusing to leave, he was the sole occupant of a 52,000 square foot property. He stated that he liked his 350 square foot studio, and all he wanted was a view of Central Park. The end result, after many lawyer calls, the Zeckendorfs not only bought Herb a fully furnished $2 million 2-bedroom condo, but also gave him a $17 million check, making it the largest recorded buyout and relocation in New York City history. And Herb got his Central Park view. Our last story takes place around 1910 and in the heart of Greenwich Village. In order to build the 7th Avenue subway extension, the city, wielding the power of eminent domain, was planning to demolish nearly 300 buildings. David Hess, landlord of the 5-story apartment building the Voorhees, was in the way though. He refused to sell, but eminent domain allows governmental bodies to expropriate private property if the land is to be used for public use. Mr. Hess didn't have a case, and his building was torn down. However, when the city seized this building, the survey had missed this 27.5 by 27.5 by 25.5 inch piece of land. Realizing their mistake, the city asked the Hess family for it, to which they vehemently refused. Thus, the smallest piece of private property in New York City was born. Like the Hess Triangle itself, holdouts often become iconic in their neighborhoods. If and when a holdout succeeds and a new building goes up around it, the property, sometimes seen as an awkward eyesore, can become far less desirable. Thus, they generally stick around for another construction cycle.
The holdout building becomes a landmark in itself. It becomes, it's like a personification, a memorial of the old city. We're very emotionally invested in the buildings in our neighborhoods. There might be an old, decrepit,
That's cute.
brownstone or former carriage house or something that's been in your neighborhood for years and years, and you don't want to see it go. We all accept the march of progress, but then when it's on your own block, you don't like it necessarily.
As for New York City holdouts, it doesn't seem like they're going anywhere, just like the tenants themselves.
I think we're going to continue to see holdout scenarios in New York City because it's just sort of a feature of the New York real estate market.
I think that New Yorkers tend to cheer holdouts on. They really like the idea. It's the underdog versus the big guy. The idea of somebody pushing back and then winning out over a developer. It's a good story, and it makes you just cheer them on.
Are you for or against holdouts? Do you know of any in your neighborhood? Let us know in the comments below.
I'm for if the people that owned, and it's like they said, the rights of the protection of the renters, it's there as well in place. It's like basically, it's like in that case of like when in Friends, Monica and Rachel, Monica moved into an apartment that her grandmother was renting. She didn't own it, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. And because it was still under her grandmother's name, so they were paying very low rent. But now if you were there for years and years renting, that rent's still gonna be low comparable to what's happening, let's say, next door to you for the new tenants. So I'm kind of for the holdouts. If, let's say, like the Herb got his apartment with the view for Central Park and extra money, why not? Obviously those developers could afford that, so why not? Okay. So that's my view, and that was, as always, a really good video from Cheddar, and thank you very much, and you'll see me tomorrow. Bye. I'm back, because I forgot that I meant to check that biggest store. So let's just see, Macy's, world's largest Macy's, world's largest store, and those Macy's need to be the world's largest store. Forbes. Let's see, here we go, screen capture, and okay. Article from Is Macy's the world's largest store? It probably was. It is no longer the largest store in the world. Macy's Herald Square lost that distinction in 2009 to Shinsegae, a department store in Seoul, South Korea. So yes, obviously it's been. Although, you know what? For a building that was opened in 1902 and it held that title for 107 years, that's not bad. That's actually not bad. So, yeah, opened in November 1902, Macy's Herald Square store. Ay, all those ads again. Ay, yeah. Where is that? Like, seriously, Forbes, come on. So, store contained 1 million square feet throughout its 10 shopping floors. Additional expansions in 1924 and 1930 increased the square footage to 2.185 million. By the mid-1930s, Macy's frequently used the world's largest store slogan in many advertisements and promotions. Over the past 119 years, Macy's Herald Square has served as the company's crown jewel location. The retailer has often referred to its Herald Square store as its most valuable asset. The building, along with the land on which it stands, has recently been estimated between 3 and 4 billion in value. Wow. In 2019, Macy's announced an initial plan to construct an 800-foot tall office tower above the Herald Square store. The new 1.5 million square foot glass structure would add an estimated 6,000 office employees to the already heavy congested area. The 34th Street subway station, the third busiest in the entire system and located just beneath the store, would require significant upgrades in order to accommodate increased commuter traffic. Despite reports of the company's precarious financial position and a potentially thorny zoning change process, Macy's confirmed in February 2020 that it was moving forward with the project. The retailer started meeting with local community groups and business leaders who shared concerns about the project. Well, I can understand that. However, everything came to a screeching halt last March when COVID shut down. Wait, what year was this? Oh, 2021, okay. Where is it? Everything halted last March when COVID shut down the store and the city. The Herald Square area turned from a bustling business district to a commercial graveyard seemingly overnight. The world's largest store remained closed to in-store shoppers for 3 months. Whoa. Fortunately, 1 year into COVID, there are signs of hope and improvement. Though the retailer has noticeably reduced its store hours, Macy's has not closed off any of its sales space at Herald Square. Customer foot traffic has increased at the department store. City tourism officials are optimistic that declining infection rates and increased vaccinations will help the city rebound as early as the upcoming summer. They estimate that 38 million people will visit the city in 2021. That's only half the number of those who visited in 2019, but it's far greater than the dismal figure of 2020. And guys, I'm one of those people of the dismal figure of 2020. I was there. We were there in January. Me, myself, and my husband, myself, and my mom. I was going to say wife, but obviously I'm the wife in this trio. And Macy's has not abandoned the tower project. Orlando Veras, Macy's spokesperson, says that the company has moved forward with the permitting process. While there have been some delays, we have laid the groundwork for this long-term project that will serve as a massive value-creating development. The investment and upgrading of Macy's flagship has been a decades-long mission. In 2013, then CEO Terry Lundgren stated the need to elevate the store experience and create a luxury component at Herald Square. A $400 million renovation plan added exclusive boutiques by Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Longchamp, and others to the store's main floor. It's a far cry from the mid-century utilitarian image of the R.H. Macy, when the store's motto was, "It's smart to be thrifty." By 1940, Macy's carried 168 individual departments that offered goods such as bottle warmers, castanets, hectographs, megaphones, and sundials. Customers were served by 55 elevators and 58 escalators, and there were approximately 137,000 sales transactions every day. The merchandise was displayed on 9 miles of counter space. Macy's Herald Square has not been the world's largest store since 2009, when Guinness World Records certified that the accolade belonged to the Shinsein Centum City department store in Busan, South Korea. At 9.847 million of square feet, Shinsein is practically 3 times the size of Macy's. I can't even fathom how big Macy's is. I'm trying, but I can't. Look at the picture here. This is from 1939. That's the size of some of the stores in, like, small. I don't know what to say. Okay, but the comparison of Macy's and Shinsein is a little unfair. Shinsein Centum City offers such amenities as a golf driving range, an ice skating rink, a multiplex theater, and a rooftop theme park. So it's a mall, isn't it? It's not a store, it's a mall. Its interior space feels more like a shopping mall with individual stores and boutiques. One won't find wooden escalators, ornate elevator banks, or expansive wood open floor space at the Shinsei Centum City Store, nor can it claim the world's largest shoe floor. This honor belongs to Macy's second floor with over 63,000 square feet containing 280,000 pairs of shoes. And even as Korea's first department store, Shinsei wasn't founded until 1960. Although world's largest store no longer applies, size does not necessarily equate strength. As the flagship of the Macy's brand, our Herald Square store stands unique in our portfolio, both for its historical significance to our brand and the city of New York, says Veras. Provides customers with a singular Macy's branded shopping experience. I think I've been in one Macy's in San Francisco, but I don't really remember much from it. It's not shopping for clothes. It's not really my thing. I don't really like shopping that much anymore. So maybe I don't know. And it's kind of overwhelming when you go into new place and new stores and stuff like that as well. Macy's has continued many of its traditions, from its July 4th fireworks presentation to its annual Thanksgiving Day parade. Even at the height of the pandemic, the realtor worked in concert with city officials and presented and reimagined both events for 2020. The annual flower show, that's something I would like to see. Scheduled from May 2nd to 16th, is back on for 2021 despite last year's cancellation. Vera states, with the spirit of renewal and new days of hope on the horizon, Macy's springtime celebration was reimagined to safely bring the magic of the season to life for guests in and around the iconic store. Wow, is that it? No, that's Christmas, is it? Okay, this is almost the thing. But Macy's flower show, Macy's flower show, Macy's flower show. Returning in 2025. Images. Wow. Whoa. Yeah, I would like to go and see that. Nice. Yep, definitely something I'd like to see. I have to remember, if we're ever gonna go back to New York, I'm gonna try to go on that time. That can't be. What? Alright, never mind. Okay. So, I've learned something new about Macy's anyway, and there's no new. The Macy's is not the biggest store in the world anymore, but still, it held that title for 107 years. It's quite a big thing to do, I guess. Alright, thank you very much for watching, and I see you tomorrow. Again, bye!